All right. So we're going to be talking about intrapersonal communication. So if you need to get your notes ready to take notes, maybe you have a notebook, get your notebook ready. If you are going to take screenshots, then you can take screenshots. Whatever you need to do, though, take a moment to get that ready. I will get started in three chair turns. Uh-oh. Oh, it's just my jacket. I thought I knocked something over, but it was just my jacket. Okay, I think that's two chair turns. One more. That might have improved. Perfect. All right. So, intrapersonal communication. So, the big deal here is that intrapersonal and interpersonal, because we're going to go over both of them. We really, really need to focus on what comes after the T. If it's ER, that's with one other person. If it's RA, intrapersonal, in this case, it is with ourselves. So, communication or intrapersonal communication is communication that only focuses on one person, you, the individual. So, as we go through these notes and as we go through this week's assignments, it's my sincerest hope that you guys understand how to really communicate with yourself because that's going to make you a better communicator with others. People tend to say it starts at the home. That's kind of really what I am. I really do believe in that. So, I do think it starts at the home, and in this case, the home is your mind. So let's start with self-talk. Self-talk are the questions or comments that you make to yourself. So maybe if you're walking and someone says something to you and you think, oh, why would they say that about me? Or, oh, that was kind of mean, or that was kind of rude, or, oh, that was so nice. I can't believe that they said that to me. That's self-talk. Okay. The questions or comments you make to yourself. Like, I know that all of you have inner monologues in some way, shape, or form. And so a lot of you have, like, maybe you think really, really fast in your head. Maybe you feel like you don't think at all. Maybe you think that your inner voice is constantly shouting, but it's very weird to think about how your inner voice does work. But we all have one, and it kind of really is the most powerful force in our life because it influences our attitude and our ability to achieve our goals. So if you are feeling really anxious, you might not be able to be your best because you're feeling super anxious. Same with depressed or unfocused or any kind of thing that is in your way. That mental block is stopping you from achieving your goals or realizing your abilities. And that usually starts with your self-talk. So just because your self-talk is the strongest voice in your head, that doesn't mean it's always right. Okay. So what you have to do is you have to really listen to yourself. And then as you listen to yourself, you need to make decisions that are based on what you need or what you feel is going to make you successful. But like I said, it's very powerful as it frames the way you think and the way that you act. So self-talk is one of the most important factors in your life, and it's also one of the most powerful forces in your life because your self-talk controls everything else. Because it influences your perception. Let me move this window down a little bit. Okay, so your perception is how you see the world, the process you use to assign meaning to data about yourself and the world around you. As we covered in the notes, the second week of school, the only way that we're able to take in the world is through our five senses. If we couldn't see, if we couldn't taste, if we couldn't touch, if we couldn't smell, and if we couldn't hear, then we could not take in the world around us. So because of that, through our five senses, we have a certain perception of the world. Our world perception was controlled by our five senses. Those people that don't like tomatoes, they know they don't like tomatoes because they've experienced them before. Those people that do like tomatoes, they had a good experience with them. Those that didn't have a good experience with them. The same thing works with people. Maybe you didn't like math because you didn't like your math teachers. Maybe you don't like English because you didn't like your English teachers. Maybe you didn't like a certain subject in school because of a certain instance that happened or a certain test that happened. But either way, everything that happens to us is a series of experiences, and that builds onto our self-talk, which builds our perception. So, like I said right here, it's influenced by past experiences, culture, age, knowledge, and values, just to name a few. When I say culture, the idea is that we all have a certain belief system growing up, but if we grew up in another country, we might have a completely different set of belief systems and values. And so that, I think, is what's so interesting about living in the United States, because you have a bunch of different people with a bunch of different values and a bunch of different cultures. So the idea is that hopefully, as we share these cultures and as we share these experiences, we're able to kind of really understand each other, and that might make it a little bit easier to communicate with one another. So, sensory perception, that's seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. They connect us to the world, and we use them to know and understand our surroundings. I know that a table is hard because I've stood on a table. I've done my homework on a table. I've graded on a table. I've used a table my entire life. If I see a table, I know that it's going to be solid and help me do what I need to do. I know that water is good for you because I've been drinking water my entire life. I put off drinking water for the first 2/3 of my life, but now I'm trying to make sure that I drink as much water because it's basically nature's motor oil. As I was explaining to another teacher who was planning to get the vaccine. By the way, I still feel fine. Now, we use our sensory perception to understand our surroundings. So that is literally just the end of the notes today. But I do want to show you guys a clip from something because I think it really kind of understands or it helps explain the idea of self talk and self perception. Because if you really, really know what your self talk sounds like and what your perception of yourself is, and you have a really, really strong sense of self, then it's very easy for you to communicate with others, and it's also easy for you to maintain friendships and relationships. So, this ended up in my recorded bag speech, but I don't think it ended up in my bag speech that I did over Zoom. I am a huge fan of the TV show Community. I think that it works really, really well in most instances and most lessons. So this is from the first season, and there's a character in the show. His name is Abed, and he has some sort of social disorder, but they don't explain what it is in any episode. But the idea is he doesn't really pick up on social cues, so he doesn't really he doesn't talk to people normally, and he doesn't deal with human relationships. Uh, I guess I would say in like a normal way, or I guess if I was going to use the word neurotypical, because I know that neurodivergency is something that a lot more teachers are talking about now. But he's definitely not a neurotypical person. So the idea is that he likes to think of the world kind of in like TV and movies because it's easy for him because that has rules, whereas real life does not. So in this episode, the group tries to set him up with a girl, but it doesn't work out really well. So we're gonna watch how they think he was going to respond to it and how he actually does. So let's take a moment to get that set up, and let me see if I can get the actual. There we go. Perfect. Okay, I have the captions turned on now.
He's probably too sad to get out of bed this morning. Abed, about yesterday.
Oh, yeah. You guys must be pretty upset.
Why would we be upset?
Well, I know how important it was for you that I get a girlfriend. So when Jenny went off with White Abed, it must have really hurt.
It did.
White Abed?
Jenny's boyfriend is a white guy that's almost identical to Abed. His name is Joey, and that's why the sketch was in Troy's book.
So does that make Abed brown, Joey?
If you want to get racist about it.
Abed, we just want you to be happy, right?
Yeah, I know. Everybody wants me to be happy. Everybody wants to help me. But usually when they find out they can't, they get frustrated and stop talking to me. Or they trick me into buying them ice cream and then shove me into a clothes dryer, which I didn't want to happen with you guys, so I want to make sure that you felt like you could help me. The truth is, lots of girls like me because, let's face it, I'm pretty adorable. And my aloofness unconsciously reminds them of their father, so I'm more used to them approaching me.
So we didn't damage your self-esteem or anything?
But I got self-esteem falling out of my butt. That's why I was willing to change for you guys, because when you really know who you are and what you like about yourself, changing for other people isn't such a big deal.
Abed, you're a god.
If you'll all excuse me, I have Amanda beat in pool while wearing shorts.
All right. So the idea is that in that clip, we see Abed, the person that is talking most of the time. He has a really, really strong self-perception. He understands what his individual voice sounds like and how it moves. He did the Don Draper impression, right? Yes. That's actually the exact same episode, Donovan. So he tries to be different TV characters when he's flirting with the girl, but it doesn't work out. Anyway, the main idea of me showing you guys this clip, though, is your self-talk governs how you view the world, and it views how you view yourself. So Abed, even though he doesn't understand how most social situations work, he has a really, really strong idea, and he's very anchored to how he views himself and how he views the world around him. And so it's very easy for him to change for other people because he already knows the kind of person that he is. So that is why I wanted to kind of show you that, because his perception is so incredibly anchored in his core beliefs. And so even though other people might not understand him, or other people might not, they might be worried about him because he's not normal, or in this case, he's not neurotypical. It's okay because in this instance, um, he is completely at peace with how he is and how people interact with him, and he's had things happen to him. He's had experiences that have forced or that has caused this extremely strong self perception and this extremely strong self talk. But either way, that's going to be it for the notes today. And there really isn't anything else in our agenda for the day except for Monday's meditation. But I will talk about that in just a moment. So let's do our recap. To recap, you are just going to go over today's notes if you need to go over today's notes on your own. And then if you're missing any assignments, you can work on them, reaching out or staying on Zoom if you have any questions or concerns about that. And then you can get that turned in. Other than that, though, guys, the progress reports did get, I guess, sent out. I didn't put in the missings yet. So if you are at a unusually high grade, that's why. But I will be putting in the missings later on this week. So